Hi, friends. Happy Merry Christmas for anybody that celebrates. It's Christmas today, but my family doesn't really celebrate it, so I'm just kind of chilling and relaxing. And the weather's kind of like dark and gloomy, but I was feeling very like I needed to share a message, so I was like, might as well just get on here and talk as I usually do. Um, but today I really wanted to talk about how to use ambitious energy in a hyper productive and hyper stimulating world. And if you are somebody who relates to the energy of being an ambitious person, ever since you were young, you dreamt big and you wanted to always be so amazing at everything that you tried to do, even if you failed when you were young. If you are somebody that really relates to, I'm ambitious, but I struggle to ground this energy and I struggle to kind of be in control of it rather than it controlling me, then I think this will be a really good conversation for you because it's something that I've struggled with a lot. Um, so getting into it, I guess the first thing is like, what even is ambition? What does it mean to be ambitious? Because obviously we have a warped view of that. We see ambition more as like the ability to be productive as opposed to the process of creation in and of itself. But I see ambitious energy as you're the type of person where you always just want to push the limit, right? In anything that you do, whether it's your job, your creative process, your relationships, your sense of self and identity, your hobbies, your health, whatever it is, you're just always somehow feeling the need to push the limit of what you can do, to push the standard, and to create a new sort of system of doing things in a way that is beyond what we're told that we should do. So that's what ambitious energy is. But the way that it feels is I feel it initially in your life. You'll feel it as this like very profound, like just constant push energy is how I experience it. It's like this energy that just feels like it needs to like push and transcend and like penetrate and break down and destroy and create everything. It's a very outward force, at least initially, right? And what I'll go into later is talking about how to balance that force, but it feels like a very outward force that you find almost takes over your life, especially in your early years when you're not aware of it. And you also have to think about the context in which this energy lives in. So we live in a society that is constantly trying to make you shrink, right? So when you're young, you might have been like, I don't know, a child or in high school, and you're like, I have all these dreams. I want to become like, for me, it was like, I want to become a doctor and I want to find like a partner that, doesn't reflect my parents' marriage. And I want to have like, all of these things. I want to do all of these things and I want to create for the sake of creating. And I want to just like see what I can do in the world. And you have a lot of these big dreams, but then you find that this energy as you go out into the real world, because you don't know how to engage with it properly, because we're not taught how to, it ends up taking you over. It controls you as opposed to you controlling it. And that's where I think a lot of us experience burnout, anxiety, depression, etc. Um, so, kind of going into like the conditioning itself that kind of impairs the flow of this ambitious energy is we are told, okay, number one, we live in a society that wants to make you small, regardless of what you're doing, right? If you're somebody who's pushing the bounds and the limits of what we're told that we can do, then you're just annoying and you're disrupting the status quo and you're just doing too much. On top of that, if you're a woman, then you're constantly getting this conditioning that like you have to stay small and be a good girl and do, anytime that you are showing yourself as independent or ambitious, then all of a sudden you're masculine and you're too much and you're trying to be something and you're a pick me girl, right? So there's all of that. And then on top of that, if you're a person of color, whether a man or a woman, on top of that, you're already seen as somebody who is sort of under everybody else, lower on the hierarchy, and that you don't have the same skills or abilities. And you get all these stereotypes that are pressed onto you in terms of reaching a certain level of accomplishment in this world and in this life. So there's a lot of different layers. And then the other thing that I think is one of the most important and kind of like the hardest, well, not the hardest, but one of the hardest. The other thing is that we're constantly told that we have to be one dimensional. So you can only pick one thing in your life and stick to it. But that's not how ambitious energy works, right? I think of it as like a fire or like water, even. Um, I think it was a fire when I was younger and I didn't know how to control it, and now it's more like water. but I think of it as like water that's inside of you and you're forcing it to kind of go down one route and to be one thing, right? And then it overflows. It's like too much energy in one direction and it kind of implodes on itself. So we also live in a world that tries to shove you into being one dimensional, but ambitious energy, just the way that it is, the energy of transcendence, the energy of like sort of pushing yourself in every single, letting yourself be stretched in every single direction, that doesn't, you can't be one dimensional and do that, right? It doesn't go hand in hand. So all of those things together create a really dysfunctional relationship with your ambition. And if you don't realize it, which most of us don't, I certainly did not, and so it 100% took over my life, especially in like my early 20s when I was kind of in the real world and like, I was gung-ho and I had all these dreams and I still do, but it was just very ungrounded and I was using this ambitious energy to kind of like willpower my way through things because I didn't know how to have a proper relationship with it. I thought that society tells you, okay, you're ambitious. That means you work, work, work yourself into the ground until you figure it out. And that just does not work. So, how does it work, right? Like, how do you use this ambitious energy? How do you create a relationship with it so that it's actually something that benefits you and that you actually have control over? So, I will say that number one, a common thing that I think happens to all ambitious people is that you might find that in your life you experience more periods of burnout than the average person. And again, the reason is because you haven't fully understood how to grasp a relationship with this energy that's constantly trying to like take you somewhere, right? Like this energy is constantly just like trying to drag you to something beyond the limits of like what you know is possible. And in that sense, it's a very creative energy. But then what happens is it can lead to burnout. It can lead to excessive perfectionism where you constantly feel like nothing you do is enough because you're always striving for more and you're always raising the standard. It can cause you to have constant anxiety, again, because you become attached to outcomes and, how things are supposed to be and what the product that you're creating is. It can lead to excessive expectations. It can lead to you becoming a hypercritical person, not only of yourself, but even of other people. It can lead to you feeling very disconnected from your body and therefore developing health issues because you're kind of pushing your body into the ground as opposed to taking the time to take care of it. It can even lead, it can show up in different forms. It can lead to eating disorders as well. I struggled with that. That was how my ambitious energy represented itself. It was through eating disorders, through chronic illness, through anxiety, through depression, through disconnection with self. Ultimately, it led to like a whole, inner like awakening journey. But it can show up in a lot of those ways because you're funneling the energy incorrectly, and you're not using it in a way that kind of feeds back into you. So you're just kind of pouring from an empty cup. So how do you fix that? Number one, like I said, that energy is like a push energy, right? What we don't realize is that every single energy, every emotion, every experience has duality to it, right? So if there's a push energy associated with this ambition that you feel this need to kind of like go outwards and, create and do whatever, there's also an equal but opposite inward force. And you need to learn to develop a relationship with the inward force, right? Because it's not helpful for you to constantly give yourself without giving, or sorry, give yourself to the world without giving back to yourself inside of yourself, right? And also, if you want to truly be ambitious and do something productive and truly successful, it has to come from a strong foundation. It has to come from true inspiration. It has to come from connection of self, not conditioning, ego, impulse, reactivity, all of those things, right? And that's a slow process. It takes time, it takes skill, it takes introspection to develop that. So learn to create a relationship with your inward force. And so what I mean by inward force is this ambition, it feels like a strong outward force, right? But you can channel that energy, like just take a second, literally take a breath, take a breath, and just take that energy that you feel and point it back towards yourself. And you can use the same force of that energy to pierce into yourself, to pierce into your deepest wounds, to pierce into your dreams, to pierce into your trauma that you need to unpack, to pierce into whatever your nervous system is holding on to. Like that energy is very useful when you point it outwards and when you point it inwards. The thing is we just don't know how to point it inwards because also society doesn't reward that. It doesn't teach you that. These are not skills that we're taught. It's something that you have to unfortunately learn oftentimes through suffering. But nobody rewards you for spending time alone, right? We're told to have these like all these friends and a happening social life. Nobody rewards you for introspection and for meditating. Nobody rewards you for talking about the deep dark parts of being a human being. Nobody rewards you for stillness and silence, like that stuff is not rewarded. So we don't even think to do it. But you have to, okay? You have to do it. If you're an ambitious person, if you're a highly ambitious person, you have to, because otherwise this energy is going to continue to take you over and you're going to continue to fall into burnout, into disillusionment, into anxiety, depression, all of the things. So you need to learn how to not only go inwards, but develop a relationship to know when to use that force inwards versus outwards, right? And that's an intuition thing. You'll develop that with skill, with life experience, knowing when to push outwards and when to pull inwards. So that's something you develop with time. But step number one is like just recognizing that I need to use that force inwards as well, right? And kind of letting that flow, that push and that pull, that push and that pull, because then you're giving this ambition like polarities to move through. It's not getting stuck in one thing, which can cause a lot of stagnating energy. Um, so that's step number one. And then step number two that's been really helpful for me is also disseminating the energy. So, like I said before, we're told a lot of times to pick one life path, stick to it, and then shut your mouth and never do anything again, right? Like just pick one thing and stick to it. But that's very outdated. That's not how human beings are. We are multidimensional. We are creative beings. I can choose today to be a doctor, and then I can choose tomorrow and wake up and realize that I actually just want to be like, I don't know, I want to walk dogs or something. Like you are constantly, every single second of the day, you are constantly changing. So stop trying to put yourself into one life path. And the thing with this ambitious energy is that you will lose yourself if you try to put it into one thing because it's too much energy in one place. It's like shoving a fire into like one tiny room. It's going to consume the fire. I mean, the fire is going to consume the room if it's too big, right? So you want to disseminate it. You want to really give it space to live in multiple areas of your life. So yes, there's probably like some things in your life that you feel more connected to than others. Maybe for you in this lifetime, your mission is more important than your romantic relationships, or maybe it's vice versa. Your romantic relationships are more important than your mission, or whatever else, whatever other buckets of life you're thinking about. Um, so yes, like if let's say, you know, you have a certain amount of ambitious energy, yes, you might find that like 50% of it goes into your mission and then like, I don't know, like 30% goes into relationships, whatever, however you want to stratify that. But it is still important that 100% is not going into one area. And a lot of times when we're young, we kind of do that. We kind of try to shove all of that ambitious energy into like our career or into like finding the perfect career or finding the perfect husband or wife or finding the perfect friend group or making the perfect art, whatever it is, or attaining the perfect body, right? Or perfect beauty standard. Like we pick one thing and we try to force ourselves into it, but that's not natural to how human beings are. Like that, to force yourself into one box of who you are is very dehumanizing and objectifying to yourself. So it's not going to feel good, but also like the energy can't live like that. It's going to break it down and it's going to consume you, and you're going to again fall into perfectionism, obsession energy, right? You're going to really fall into like this obsessive energy. Um, like for me, it showed up as an eating disorder, and I became like very obsessed with trying to prove my worth to myself and like attaining this body image and this certain sort of like finally feeling like I was enough for the world and for myself. So it will take you over if you try to shove that ambitious energy into one box. Don't do that. Give it multiple places to live and breathe, right? Because like I was saying before, you need it. Like I was saying before, I used to see it as fire. Now I see it more as water because I like to feel it as if it's like this, you know, life force energy that's flowing into multiple areas of my life. If it's just flowing into one area, I feel really unbalanced. I feel like I'm like falling over and tipping over into that area. So you want to open up the ground for where this energy, where this water can flow, right? So allow yourself to push yourself in your relationships as well as your career, or start a new project, like a creative project, or like I said, create a new friendship, or date somebody, or find a new job, or just learn about something new, read about something new. Start, you know, engaging in your hobbies again. Like whatever it is, you need to have these small little channels of energy that can help release that ambitious energy in a lot of different directions. You don't want to force the energy into one place because it's going to control you. It's going to become too much. It's going to be obsessive. So you need to give it space to breathe in different areas of your life. And then you'll also feel satisfied, right? You'll feel the release of that tension. Because otherwise, like the way that I kind of think about it is, if you're forcing it into one place and also you're not developing this push-pull relationship, what happens is like, I'm gonna put the mic down, but you have like, this is your ambitious energy, this is your conditioning. And if you don't work through this conditioning in order to develop a relationship with your ambition, it's like this energy is like trying to shove itself up and out. But it's not able to do that because you don't have a relationship with it and you haven't moved through your resistance and your conditioning. So you need to first release this resistance and this conditioning and then let it disseminate into multiple areas of your life, if that even makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because um, I think a lot of times when we're ambitious and we're young, we start to believe like we're young and we think we're ambitious and we have these dreams. But then in the end, over some time and being in the real world, we start to believe that there's actually something wrong with us, that this ambitiousness or ambition is a negative thing, right? We start to think that it's bad because who am I to strive for all of these things? Who am I to push the boxes? And every time that I try to be ambitious, I just start burning out and I start combusting and I start to not be happy. But then when I try to make myself small and not be ambitious, then I'm like really unhappy, right? And so you start to think that this ambition is a problem. It's not the ambition, it's your relationship to it. It's the way that you're using it, right? So I think that's really important to know. And I think it's really important to first identify within yourself. Am I an ambitious person? Is this a value? Is this a really big theme in my life? Because once you identify that, and you fully accept it, can start building a relationship with it. And then once you start building a relationship with it, you can actually start using it. And then the last thing I'll say, just as a tip, is also try to use your ambition in a variety of ways. Like, for example, I use it through my school and in medical school and the process of becoming a doctor, but then I use it through content creation. Those two things are not the same energy, right? Like it's the same ambition that I'm using, but content creation it's not the same as watching people suffer and struggle every single day. So my point in saying that is like diversify your profile. Don't make everything so, try to really make it different. And if you have something in your life where it's very heavy, very intense, and very emotionally taxing, try to pour your ambition into things that are a little bit lighter and more lighthearted because you really need to balance. The key thing, like that I'll end with, is you really need to balance this energy because it's a very intense energy. It's very intense and it doesn't stop. The whole nature of the energy is to like transcend limits, right? So you have to learn how to ground it. You have to learn how to develop a relationship with it, when to let it go and when to let it come back to you. And you have to learn how to spread it so that it doesn't kind of create too much imbalance within your physical body and your mental body as well. So I'm going to end it there because I don't want the video to get too long, but I'm curious. For all of you multi-hyphenates, multi-creative people listening to this, what are your different projects that you're working on? I'm curious, like I love to hear when people like do one thing and then they have like another hobby or something else that they're doing that's like completely different. I find that so fascinating. So yeah, just share, like I'd love to hear the different things that you're doing, the different buckets you're pouring your ambition into, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, happy almost New Year's. And yeah, I will talk to y'all soon.